Good evening. This is Mayor McFadden. The time is 6:59 on Wednesday, the 17th. This meeting is called to order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Roll call, please.
Mayor McFadden.
Present.
Deputy Mayor Shaw.
Present.
Trustee Casker.
Present.
Trustee Shara.
Present.
Trustee Brooke. He is absent. We'll note that for the record.
All right. First, I'd like to thank residents Jim, Chris, Rachel, Odetta, and George, no last names, for volunteering for the CSLAP program. It's a very important program, and Jim and Sue Hayes asked me to put something on the website. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 new volunteers. So that's fantastic. We'll continue that program. I also want to thank the DPW for the special projects they've completed recently, including the mailbox stand and a variety of construction and final touches to the booth. And they've also completed the refurbishing of the triangle on Westlake Road and Turtle Brook Road. So thank you. I'd also like to thank the chief and police officers for all of their input regarding the new automatic gate opening system. Denise Spouthoff for her work bringing the pay online system live. Elizabeth Dougherty for the work she did with the EPA. We had some delinquent submittals, and because of her courtesy and going out of her way to work with the EPA, they waived the penalties and made a specific reference to her role in that. Let's move to reports and minutes. We have the following reports this evening. DPW, Jeff?
Yeah, so actually, the last couple of weeks, we've been working on paving. Paving started today. They did Shasta Loop today and most of Summit Road. So they'll finish. It's supposed to be, originally it was supposed to be paving today and tomorrow. I don't think they're going to get everything done tomorrow. So it's probably going to go into Friday. But it's going, it's going well. It's just a lot of travel between Shasta Loop and Summit Road with that equipment. It takes time to get there. And it's wasted time. So,
And are you happy with the product?
so far, yes, very,
Mhm.
very. Westlake, like I was saying before, that will, after it's paved, try to lessen the gutters going up Westlake Road. We're gonna have to go back and do some more work after it's done being paved. What else?
Do you have a copy of the report you handed in?
I don't with me now.
Okay. Do you want to read from that, or you're good?
There's one in your binder.
Okay.
We had also done some patching of the holes on East Lake Road where we did work
Mhm.
replacing valves.
Mm-hmm.
Also on Stable Road where we had repaired a water leak.
Mm-hmm.
And we, as far as special projects, I've got lumber to build the next 5 mailbox stanchions. I've got 2 built already. We're working on that as we have time in between doing other work.
Love it.
Um,
I have a whole nother project for you after that. Taking all of it, I mean, if we can do it, we'll have to talk to the attorneys. But taking stop signs and other signs and putting a nice wood pole post, replacing the metal.
I like that.
That could be kind of cool. Anyway, we could discuss that. All right, so are you finished?
well, no, as far as, well, you brought up the work at the booth. We
Mhm.
put the last bulletproof piece of glass in last week, I think, or the week before.
Damn good job, too.
Thank you. And finally set the bollards permanently.
Mm-hmm.
And so that,
More so, I was there today talking to several officers, more so than the bulletproofing. They really appreciate the bollards.
Mhm.
They're crash rated, FEMA crash rated, and, you know, a truck at 30 miles an hour, 15,000 pound dump truck at 30 miles an hour. It's huge. All right, well, listen, there's a lot more that the DPW has been doing. It's on the report. It's posted on the website. I encourage everybody to read it. Thank you, Jeff. John, do you want to go over your construction report or just leave it in as a submittal?
I'll hit the high points. We
Okay.
had 4 certificate of occupancy requests. That typically means that we have at least 4 homes that'll be sold within the next month or 2. As far as project status, the Rifkin house was removed approximately 2 months ago. The footings and foundation are approximately 95% done, and hopefully they'll be done with all the concrete work by the middle of December. Orange and Rockland is continuing to prep for the next stage of the electrical system upgrades, trimming and removing some trees on Tower Hill Road. The Malik property, the new chimney and the new cedar roof are 99% done. They're proceeding with some interior work at this time. The Pays project, I met with the general contractor and the excavation company about 3 weeks ago. We reviewed the tree protection plan, siltation fence requirements, and construction of a driveway entrance to include a rock wheel cleaning pad so they don't have any soil on the road. And so that project is going fairly well. And Tyrovich, a relatively small project on 18 Acoma Road, driveway apron and driveway pillars are finished. That's the high points for now.
Okay, any stop work orders or court appearance tickets?
No stop work orders at this point. I am waiting for compliance from one person. If I don't hear from them by the end of this week, I'll issue a violation notice on Monday.
Mm-hmm.
A couple other quick high points. We did receive payment, $4,050 for the snow blower last
Excellent.
week. Supposed to be picked up this Friday. And the transfer switch here at the village office should be replaced Friday morning. And
That was approved at the last meeting.
it was.
Terrific.
And we're getting internet service at the water treatment plant on Friday.
Thank you very much. And also we'll need to order a computer.
We have a computer.
Yeah,
It's all taken
We
care
do.
of.
Okay, good. And that's going to be Cablevision, right?
Optimal.
Optimum. Okay, great. Thank you. Court report is in the system posted on the website. Same with the water report. Chief, do you want to make any comments on the police report?
Basically, there's approximately 770 vehicles, an average of 770 vehicles that have been coming through the gate on a daily basis. We answered 252 calls for service. We're still continuing with no serious motor vehicle accidents, which is a benefit, a plus. And we issued 7 uniform traffic tickets and 10 warnings.
Thank you very much.
Also, one other thing, about a year ago, I applied for a grant for reimbursement on bulletproof vests. And we just found out that we have been approved, and Elizabeth helped me a lot with getting all the information that I needed to give to them. So probably by next meeting, you'll have to vote on accepting that grant.
Thank you, Elizabeth. Thank you, Chief. Would you like to go over the legal report? I don't know if you're prepared to do that. It was submitted to me by Shannon late this afternoon.
I haven't.
Okay, it's posted. It's posted. Treasury report posted. Does anyone have any questions about the October minutes? Okay. Do we have any trustee liaison reports? Okay, we have a presentation from Maureen Cohn on the Cellular Communications and Wi-Fi Committee. Maureen, are you available? Would you
I am.
open up here? Great. Welcome.
Hi, I wouldn't call this a presentation, just
Okay.
FYI. It's a brief a review of where we are, I guess. So in fact, I have only re-engaged or been engaged, I should say, in the Communications Committee in the last couple of weeks. So I don't have a depth of knowledge of what's been going on. I have read all the minutes, and Paula Tachi, who's in Italy right now, has asked me to come before the board and ask them basically for 2 things. There's a report that's in the documents related to this meeting. You guys can look at that just to basically summarize. Over the last couple of years, the Communication Committee has been working hard, and they've met with a number of vendors. The Communications Committee appears to be at a critical point right now that requires two things from the Board of Trustees. One is there seems to be a slight confusion over the mandate or the goals of the Communication Committee that should be clarified by the board. So the chairperson of the committee, Paula, said that the goals when the committee was set up was a common goal that cell service and internet service would be improved for village residents, village personnel, the police office, village office, etc., the club, and Tuxedo Park School. That's the internet and cell phone service. So it's for all entities, the residents and the sort of commercial entities, in quotes, that exist in the park. There's been discussions that I haven't been party to, but I understand that may not be the goal that the Board of Trustees has in mind for this Communications Committee. And we wanted clarification from the board on that. Just one, and we can stop in 2 seconds and talk about that. But just one point on that is that like currently, I think one of the things that are being explored is fiber optic network. And that really is only available to commercial enterprises. That won't solve, that might, through a connection, it may solve cell phone service issues, but not necessarily internet for all village residents. So it's at a critical stage to determine if what path we want to go down. That's number one request. The second request is that because of the complexity and the ever-changing and fast-evolving world in the communications field, internet and cell service, we believe that an expert be hired. I think Paula presented to the board, again, I wasn't present, back in a spring, to hire an independent consultant expert to be hired to advise the board on the options that are out there and the various paths that should be taken. So we want the board to confirm that that is still the goal, that we will hire an independent expert. And one has been proposed already to the board, and we can discuss that candidate at the end of this discussion. Okay, so those are the two goals. How would you like to proceed? Discussion, me answer questions from the trustees?
Yeah, sure. I'll just give you some of the things we've been going back and forth with. The consultant is named Walter Cooper.
Mm-hmm.
He was presented to the board last spring. And on the village website, we have Walter's CV and his scope of services.
Mm-hmm.
And they can be accessed by anyone. And I believe that, I know that last year in the budget, we put money in for Walter or another consultant. And I don't know the exact amount. We're not sure whether it's 5, 12, or 20. We'll find out. 12, it's 12. And if the committee recommends that we hire Walter or another consultant, then of course I would go along with that. I don't know about the rest of the board, but I'll take my cue from you guys. And in terms of the goal, and again, I'll speak just for myself, the purpose of this committee, in my view, is to investigate and present alternatives to improve cell service. When we first came out of the gate, we were looking at a tower, and that was discouraged across the board. And now I understand we're looking at other technology, which might be these little units with antennas that go around the park, and they're less obtrusive. So in my view, the mission has not changed. We want to improve cell service. Now, along that way, if there's opportunities to bring a secondary backup internet supply to the police station, I can pursue that on my own, unless it's part of one package, and so on and so forth. We could use a redundant system for the village office and DPW as well. Right now, the police only have one provider, which is Cablevision, and it's slow and it goes out a lot. So we do have an interest in bringing in another support system. We can work on that independently. That doesn't have to be the mission of the cell committee. So with that, I'll see if any of the other trustees want to ask any questions.
I can't hear Chris. It looks like you're talking, but I can't hear you.
How about now?
Perfect, thank you.
Okay. Interesting. I have a very directional voice.
Yeah,
So,
apparently.
Yeah, I agree with the mayor that the priority should be the benefit of the residents, and that's going to be in cell service if the broadband's really basically commercial. So I think the effort should be focused on that, especially reason.
Can I clarify something on that, Chris?
Yeah.
Sure.
The fiber optic, okay, again, I've only been involved very little while, but from what I understand, the pursuing fiber optics, that's only available to commercial entities. That through fiber optics, which is very expensive, you can get this small DAS antenna system basically, which is another element. You don't necessarily need fiber optics to get the DAS, which is a small antenna system. However, Paula believes that the goal is to get internet service to the entire, to all of the residents, not just the village and the school and the club, because of what happened. Cell service is a no-brainer, right? That is something we need. We've talked about that. So the question, I think, becomes internet service. So Paula's point, and she's heard from a number of residents, is that during the pandemic, it became very apparent when people were working at home that the residents need better cell phone service. Internet service. So if the scope is to try to get, it can be threefold. We can look at many different things. If the scope is to get internet service to the residents, then that will put that in our mandate. If it's only to get internet service, redundant services to the village offices and the police, that's a different path. Because again, fiber optics is not going to work for the village. So that's kind of a waste of time. Village residents.
I say greater good is the residents as a whole, right? And that should be where the efforts are. But of course, if
For cell.
for cell, yeah,
For cell.
or internet, whatever benefits the residents as a whole. And if that requires a combination of broadband for commercial that you can branch off of, maybe that's something that the committee explores and just presents some options. Here's 3 different courses of action to take, and this is the cost of each, and this is the benefit of each.
Yep. Okay, that's fine. It's different internet. So that's something we'll pursue. So from your perspective, that's not the board yet, but yes, that's something we can certainly pursue.
All right. So now, are you prepared this evening to recommend that we pass a resolution hiring Walter, or would you like to look at other people or get back to us in the near future?
I am comfortable with Walter Cooper. The communications committee wants to hire an expert. I believe Paula Tachi recommended Walter to the board back in May. So I think the communications committee has spoken already.
Do you know what his price is?
$130 an hour. He can't really do a package because he doesn't know the scope
Right.
really.
So we would do an upset fee based on the hour, upset fee, not to exceed.
Oh, and yeah, we can do that absolutely. And he said an estimate would be $8,000 to $12,000.
8 to 12, which, okay, so we went on the high end. Okay, so
So I believe the resolution was, I can remake the resolution, but again, I wasn't at the meeting, but I understand Walter was recommended to the board.
okay, well, I think I could put it in the consent agenda and pass it that way.
Okay.
All right. So now, in terms of awareness here amongst the board members, we're currently looking into consolidating and or looking for new bonds to pay for 4 water infrastructure projects. And I consider this infrastructure. So, we would be prepared to look at the quotes and the prices and include this project in infrastructure. Whether we would get grants for that or not, I don't know, but it would need to be paid for it. I've heard numbers kicking around as high as 110 grand.
At least for fiber optics, it's at least that.
Okay, so why don't let me just add this now. Thank you very much. Does anyone else have any
Yeah,
questions?
so I mean, I'm not comfortable voting on hiring somebody. Maureen gave a great recap, but she did admit that she's only been involved a few weeks and thinks that this is Paula's recommendation.
Oh,
Um,
it's my recommendation, but I have not spoken to anyone else. I've actually,
It was
I-
originally Paula's recommendation.
But has the committee looked at any other engineers? Just, you know, I just haven't looked at his qualifications and to really see if it's.
fair questions. No, the committee hasn't looked at any other engineers. They are few and far between with these independent, unbiased expertise. But the gentleman Walter I spoke with today, and he did give me someone else to contact as a
All right,
reference.
so why don't we
that's not-
table it? Why don't we table it then until the trustees are more comfortable
Sure. So
with voting?
totally fine with me. So I got that. We'll present that again. We'll do a little bit more work. I mean, frankly, I'd get some referral letters too. But anyway, the other thing is, can we just get clarification on the goal? Because I didn't hear
Yes.
the board goal.
All right, so my goal hasn't changed. And the goal is to form a committee called Communications and Cell Phone Wi-Fi Committee, which we did. And the purpose of that committee is to find ways to bring improved cell service to the village. And I know that the school and the club were interested in sharing price on that. And I think that should be, my personal view is that's the mission, period. And then if it's related or dependent on bringing in other types of internet services, fine. We can do it together, but that's my goal. My goal is not for the committee to recommend a solution for me to bring a redundant internet system to the police station. That's not your job.
So it's improved cell service and coverage for the village of Tuxedo Park,
That's the original goal.
period.
Okay. And again, I just want to make sure is that what the board is saying? Because Paula's understanding was a little bit broader than that, and that's because of the pandemic. It was for
Right.
getting internet service to residents. So
Okay, so why don't we offline? Why don't we develop a new mission statement? And I'll introduce it to the trustees before the next meeting.
okay, great. Sounds
We'll all share soon, so we're all on the same page.
sounds efficient.
Okay, terrific. Thank you very much for all your work. We appreciate it.
Thank you,
Okay,
Becca.
so now what we're going to do is open the public comment period. I anticipate a higher volume of comments this evening, so I ask every speaker to hold to the 2-minute limit. Public comment period is now open. 2 minutes per person on agenda items, please. Now, just some ground rules. I'm going to start with people in the village hall, and then I'm going to go to people that are on the Zoom call. Has everyone signed up? The sign up is on the podium. Why don't you, if there's no sign up, you can come up at your leisure. Please state your name and address for the recording. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Bonnie Takayuki, 3 Schoolhouse Lane. Bonnie Takayuki, 3 Schoolhouse.
Much better.
Lane, Tuxedo. I wanted to just give a little of the management company that is primarily what they are offering it. In 2020, our season began on July 5th. We had 3 full-time employees for every hour that we were open. That was a lifeguard, a checker, we call them a membership checker. And that year, we also had a COVID-19 monitor to make sure all the state protocols were, happening correctly. And our total payroll expense for that season, including taxes and paying the ADP for their services, was $20,591. This year, 2021, we worked very hard to be open Memorial Day weekend, which was a much longer season. So we had many more days of operation, and also included, as you know, minimum wage is going up in New York State every year. So taking those two things into account, and again, with a lifeguard and a checker on all the time that we were open, and a COVID-19 monitor there most of the time, not as many hours as she had put in the season before, but still many hours. Our total payroll for this season was $24,947, including all of the fees and for processing it. So that was one thing I thought might be helpful in your discussion later on. The second point I'd like to make is the club part of the Wheeler Beach Club. And many people listening in and many here.
Okay, can you wind it down, Sue?
Oh, okay.
Thanks.
Well, I'll go with that. Members of my board and I will be here throughout the meeting. And when you get to the part at which the Wheeler Beach Club is up for discussion, if you have any questions, we would certainly like to be called on. And if we have the information with us this evening, give it to you. And if we don't, we can certainly get it to you.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Great.
Hi, can you hear me? Yeah, okay. My name is Jennifer Darling. I live at 95 Summit Road, so I'm a resident. I'm also the vice president of the Wheeler Beach Club. I just wanted to briefly run through the position statement that was sent to the board late last night, I think. So we reviewed, we're not making a comment as to the third-party management company. It's probably not a bad idea for many reasons. So I just want to be clear about that.
Sure.
However, this proposal, we have some significant issues with, and so I wanted to put them on the record, right? The first one is that we're going to be getting significantly less services for significantly more money, and Bonnie ran through some of the payroll numbers for you. Two, having only one lifeguard manning the beach at all times, we believe is a safety issue. Which is why we have 2 or 3 people at the beach at all times. The beach proposal that we reviewed after we foiled it stated that the lifeguard would be expected to do everything else. So cleaning tables, enforcing rules, garbage, checking in members, whether that be badges or whatever, guest passes, cleaning the bathrooms, I mean, everything else. We also have them raking the front. We have, the staff weeds in their free time. And we don't think a lifeguard should not be taking their eyes off the water for the entire time that someone is in the water. So that only leaves when there is no one at the beach swimming for them to do that. And we just don't feel that it's safe for our patrons. It's not necessarily safe for the lifeguard to be there alone. And so for that reason alone, we had an issue with the amount of money and the proposal. And again, we're not saying a third-party management is a bad idea for lifeguards. That is not what we're saying. We're saying less services, more money. That's really hard for us to get past at this moment, right?
Okay.
So we talked about responsibilities of staff. We also had some issues with the membership fees, specifically. We work really hard to keep that membership fee below $300, the base membership fee for a family at below $300 to make sure it's affordable. It's not a fancy club where there are lots of perks, right? There's no towel service. It's really, we're just servicing the beach. So, and we also have guest passes that are much more affordable than what has been proposed so far. The $25 person guest pass, we think that's really steep. It's going to hinder a lot of people from coming. We have a lot of birthday parties. Sometimes we have.
Are you-
during the beach.
It already sounded.
Yeah.
Went off, yeah. Yeah.
So
Okay, but
we could tie it up. So just a couple things. There's a reference to the foil. Yesterday, I was trying to get my hands on the proposal from New York State Pools, and I wasn't able to do it. I heard this morning that there was a FOIL request. I didn't know about a FOIL request. I sent it independently on my own at 5:45 yesterday, because I got a copy from Denise Tavani, who was in Charleston, North Carolina. So, I mean, you can continue to say that it was because I was foiled, but that's just not the case.
We did make a flow request.
That's, I'm sure you did, but it
So,
had nothing to do with me providing you with the document.
okay, we
Yeah.
also had to come down because we hadn't seen it. It was
Can't, John, they can't hear the speakers. Sorry.
The speakers have to speak up a little bit then, I'm sorry.
I'm so sorry.
Well, that's great.
Okay,
Yeah.
so look, the last thing that I'm gonna say is the insurance and indemnification provision in there had full liability on the village, which for me as a lawyer was untenable because the way it's currently set up is you have our $3 million, you have your policy,
Mhm.
and you have a full indemnification from the beach. There was no indemnification from them. There was a full indemnification from the village to the pools company, and there was
Mhm.
no obligation for them to carry any insurance whatsoever.
Mhm.
So if there is an issue, that is not a situation that the village probably would want to be in. And then finally, I need to mention that I didn't see in that proposal the cost to set up the rafts or the rope. And I think there are things in there and the cost of all the equipment that sort of weren't addressed in the proposal when I looked at it, that will be additional hidden costs that would be an issue. So I don't think it's necessarily $31,000 to run the beach for the summer. I think it's incrementally more, and to do it safely, even more than that. Thank you.
You're welcome. Anyone else?
Can you try to stick to the 2 minutes?
Stick to the 2 minutes.
Ava Rattazzi, One Nursery Road. I was the lifeguard this past summer at the Weewa Beach Club and plan to return for the 2022 season. And not only as the lifeguard, but also as the Weewa Beach Club employee, I know how much responsibility is needed from each staff member. However, all the responsibility that you are planning to put on just the lifeguard is unrealistic. The other lifeguard or lifeguards that should be hired will also be around my age, and having just one person around in charge of completing all the tasks by themselves, some of which need more than one person to do, is unheard of and unsafe, especially for some of the tasks like pulling out the boat before a hurricane and putting it back in afterwards. And to add on to that, a lifeguard's priority is to stay on the waterfront and make sure there are no problems. Also, due to the fact that there would only be one employee, the lifeguard, on weekdays and 2 on weekends, according to the New York State Pool Management Proposal, the insurance company may not want to insure the beach because one worker can be a liability issue. And since a lifeguard can't take their eyes off the water, they don't know what's going on up at the beach area and picnic area. And then also if there was a problem, say someone's drowning, the lifeguard would need at least one other person to help them with the backboard, and would also need someone to call 911. So there's some safety issues with that too.
Mm-hmm. What's your name again?
Ava Rattazzi,
And where do you live?
One Nursery Road.
And you were interested in working at the Weewa Beach Club again this summer?
Yes.
I think that we can certainly submit your name to the company. And I'm sure they'd be happy to have somebody with the experience. Are you lake certified?
Yes.
Okay, terrific. We'll keep that in mind.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Right.
Yeah.
Good evening, my name is Mark Citron, I reside at 30. The one thing about Tuxedo Park that makes it unique is our reverence for this historic gated community. All you have to do is look at the website and you can see how important it is to preserve the history of this village. And so I stand before you and I ask you, why is it that this proposal is looking to extinguish the Weewa Beach Club, a volunteer organization that has existed since 1934 and serving the community of the park and the community. It certainly, from my perspective, isn't because the Weewa Beach Club has not lived up to its obligations. When the village asked the beach club to provide a police officer to the north gate in 2020, we more than willingly did it. When the village asked the beach club to ensure that all COVID protocols were followed in 20 and 2021. We certainly did. In terms of the financials, you heard from Jennifer and Bonnie that this proposal from New York State Pools simply doesn't add up. You're getting less and paying more. So why is it that we're looking to extinguish the Weewa Beach Club by this proposal? Well, with 87 years of institutional history comes 87 years of memory. And I point out to the board that in 2007, Mayor McFadden made a proposal to the Board of Trustees to extinguish the beach club in favor of a Department of Parks and Recreation.
When was this?
2007. I have a copy of that proposal in front of me, submitted by you, Mayor, dated December 12th, 2007. Obviously, we're looking back, that proposal was not adopted. In 2009, another set of proposals were made to extinguish the Weewa Beach Club. And the interesting thing about those proposals is that the bidders, for the sum of $36,000 in 2009, not only offered a guard for the beach, but a gate guard, a beach manager, and an assistant manager, all full-time for $6,000 more than the New York State Pools is offering, one guard during the week and 2 guards on the weekend. And that was 12 years ago. And prices have only gone up. $6,000 more for what you're being offered today.
Okay,
So,
can you finish up?
sure.
Thanks.
So I submit to you that the Beach Club has provided service for 87 years, faithful service, good service, dependable service. And as I said to you on August 18th and October 25th, we are more than willing to continue to provide that service with negotiations, good faith negotiations for the summer of 2022. And we stand ready to do the same today.
Thank you. All right, anyone else in the house? Okay, why don't we ask people to raise hands?
You have 4 people. that-
4 people.
Raised, I believe Jake Matthews and Clark's were the first 2 that.
Thank you, Jeff. All right.
So start with Clark's.
Yes, please.
Ask them to unmute.
Hi, good evening to the board. Thank you for having the public comment on this because it is a very important matter. I'm surprised on the board's decision on selecting an outside party to run the WeWa when the current WeWa board has done so successfully, and there has been a relationship there for 87 years that, to the best of my knowledge, there has been no issues or nothing that would warrant the break of this relationship and what could be bad relations between the hamlet and the village itself. And several of the village residents are not in favor of this. They are quite happy with the WeWa as it is standing. So I don't believe there's a majority on vote on that. And I'm surprised by this information coming out with such short notice to this meeting, and the WeWa board members not having an adequate time to prepare for this meeting when this information should have been given to them in a more timely fashion. And I'm surprised as well by the massive increase to guest passes and the limit on them as well. Like, when this is known that people go there to have a good time, to socialize, to have family get-togethers, with larger numbers than 10 at times. Like, I'm just surprised by the whole thing and very disheartened, very, very disheartened that this is the way it's going and that it's a constant conversation and it's constantly coming up year after year after year. It almost seems like it's a personal thing at this stage, like, and it is just, it's very sad after 87 years of tradition with nothing that has warranted this. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Mayor McFadden and the board. I don't know if I'm allowed to comment on this or ask a question. It has to do with the public hearing regarding the Weewa Lake dock sizes and boat sizes. I didn't know where we get more information on what is being proposed. And I was unclear from Mayor McFadden's comments up front if that applied, this proposed law is going to apply just to the Weewa Lake, the bigger Weewa, or is something being proposed for the little Weewa that is pond number 3, as well as Tuxedo Lake? It sounded like in his comment during that session, it might have been all of the lakes. So I was just unclear on that.
All right, I'll quickly answer that for you. So that was the 6:45 public hearing. It was tabled until December 15th at 6:40 because there's no law that has been written yet. It's still under consideration by Chris Hansen. It's going to be a comprehensive law for all the bodies of water, but right now there's nothing to look at. Do we have another hand?
Yes.
Thank you. I appreciate you clarifying that. I think on the agenda and prior information, it was written as being for the Weewa Lake only. So if I'm clear now, it's going to be something that's for all 3 lakes?
Yeah, I don't believe it was ever for just the Weewa, all 3 lakes. If it was, I apologize. Was it? Okay, it should be all lakes. Mm-hmm. All lakes. Thank you for pointing that out.
Joanne Hanson, I think.
Stuart, we see you. We'll get to you.
Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
Joanne Hanson, and I'm just commenting in my capacity as the chair of the planning board. We've been working with the mayor and the trustees to further revise the suggested distribution of the responsibilities of the planning board and the bar. And so I see that there are 2 items that relate to that this evening, and wanted to suggest that if a survey is going to be done of prior applicants, that it might be productive to have the planning board and the bar just take a quick look at that survey, not to tilt it one way or the other, but just to see that it's reflective of the processes that have been in place. So I suggest that. And there's a further comment about stopping engineering payments for the bar reviews. I would just note to the trustees that, for example, there's a pool application that's already underway on Mountain Farm Road. And I would assume that that involves engineering. So I would just take that into consideration, that there are ongoing applications that are midstream. So the planning board will be meeting on December 8th to look at revisions to the law and welcome any input from the mayor or the trustees prior to that time.
Thank you. I'll address those points you made when we go through the consent agenda. Stuart.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, he did.
He's on mute.
I don't,
He can unmute.
I don't see him with his hand up here.
He does want to. He does want to do it.
Oh, physically. Oh, all right. Hang on a second.
Thank you, Mayor, and
You're welcome.
and the trustees. You know, I venture to say that anybody on this at this meeting, by Zoom or otherwise, there's no one in this room that knows more about the Weewa Beach Club than I do. The actual date was 1936. My both grandfathers, paternal and maternal, particularly Duncan McGregor, was instrumental in starting what was the Tuxedo Community Club at that time with the help of Hans Christian Sonny. George Amory and George Grant Mason, is now known as the Weewa Beach Club. My mother was the first treasurer. My aunt was a treasurer for probably 30 some years. I spent my summers at the Weewa Beach Club, as did so many others from the park as well as the hamlet. Back in 2018, I provided you with a proposal in a letter knowing that the beach club was coming to an end because for 30 years, it's been a source of friction between the park and the hamlet. And I also feel that times change. So I want to say very quickly that the concept that you've come up with, I'm for the concept. The parameters that you had with respect to who can be members, I believe is reasonable at this point in time, as with respect to members that were members of the Weewa Beach Club in 2019, as well as anyone that can establish a history of a family that worked for the Tuxedo Park Association. I am incredibly disturbed by how quickly this and the way in which this kind of I don't have the word for it, came about so that you're here tonight voting on an actual agreement. I haven't seen the agreement, of course. The first question I had was a really simple one. One lifeguard who's going to rake up all the goose poop in the areas along the beach, as well as in the picnic area and everywhere in the activities area, as well as monitor the water. Secondly, I don't know about whether there's an indemnity agreement or not, but more importantly, I suppose, and maybe it's a little sour grapes, is that after in April, I made the suggestion that we form a committee with the village so that we could have a report prepared by the end of this year and vote on it by the end of this year, so we know what was going to happen in 2022 instead of stringing it out every year as has been done for the last 10 years. As a result, I got an email from you asking me if I'd be interested in being on the committee, and I was. I have been intricately involved with the Weewa Beach Club, although not on its board because I'm not a full-time resident of the park, but spend all of my summers there, and we own a house there and have been there since 1980s.
Hey, can you finish up?
I never heard back from you on that. I never heard back from you on that. A committee of two, I believe this is being run by you, and it's something that I'm not sure there isn't another agenda, but certainly there needs to be much more done with respect to changing what is now a club that operates with no cost to the village whatsoever, and a premium of $25 a guest. That's absolutely incredible. So thank you very much.
You're welcome. Do we have anyone else on the Weewa Beach Club? Okay, why don't we move to other topics?
I think these are up for the beach club, I believe.
Okay.
Let me ask Mrs. Nicholson or Mr. Nicholson.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great. All right. My name is Carol Ann Nicholson. I live at 25 Mountain Farm Road. I am opposed to part of your new gate system plan. Specifically, I am against the idea of allowing residents unlimited registration. I think you'll find households with a very large number of family member vehicles. I also want to say how disappointed I am at how you have handled your concerns with the Weewa Beach Club. Since the mayor and the board of trustees like to tally yays and nays, please put me down in the nay column for the gate and NYS pool proposal. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Going to Shane.
Yeah, I did. I asked him to unmute and I received nothing from him. Oh, oh, okay. Is Shane there? Oh, I'll go to Mrs. Cotmore.
No, I saw.
Mrs. Cotmore.
Yes, I'm here. I actually agree with the previous speaker on both those points, but what I have is a question as to what is the benefit to us for this change in the Weewa Beach Club. Seems like we do have less services. Most of the speakers have said what I'm about to say, so I'll be brief. I feel like it's less services, and the pool management proposal itself says, please note, lifeguard will not be permitted to perform any duties that interfere with their ability to supervise patrons in the lake or beach area. So it was brought up before that the lifeguard, who needs to keep their eyes on the beach and on the water, would then be also responsible for people coming and going in the various other capacities of the previous staff members. And the front gate, I have the same feeling. I'm not really sure how this benefits the resident. It's still one lane. We would still need to wait behind, like we did this afternoon, a visitor for a few minutes while they receive their directions. I know from experience with Easy Pass, people go fast. I'm not really sure what the hurry is. And so I'm actually against both the front gate, Easy Pass service, and the Weewa Beach Club for the reasons I mentioned. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Sally's iPad.
Who?
Sally's iPad.
Sally's iPad? Oh, she's got, oh, there's 4 hands raised.
She's still muted though.
Yeah, no, I'm asking her to unmute.
Oh,
Yes,
Shane already spoke. Jill Swerble wants to speak.
I know. I'm just trying to take them in order. Sally's had her hand up for a little while. All right, if she's not going to do anything, then we'll.
Is she hear you? There you
There she
go.
goes.
Okay, Sally.
Yes, hi. Well, I would also like to agree with the 2 previous speakers, and I have a few other comments. First of all, I would really like to thank the people in the past, I don't know, recent years at the Weewa Beach Club who have worked so hard, and they have done a great job. They should be thanked and congratulated, especially during COVID. There are problems, and I think we do need some changes. I'm not sure that this management committee or management group I'm just wondering what advantage they would bring us. Mainly, they don't know the players. They don't know the people. They don't know us. They don't know the place. And I think this could really result in many problems. And we'll just be forking out a lot of money, extra money, which maybe we could be using to enhance some of the facilities at the club. So I'm just against it. Thank you.
Thank you. I think hands remain up for people that have already spoken.
Shane.
Yeah, let's go to Jill Swerble.
That's the last one.
Yeah, everyone else has spoken, but the hands are still up, that's all.
They have to take it down. They have to take it down, and they don't know. Oh, they I don't think they realize it.
I've asked Jill Swerble a couple times, nothing.
Okay.
Jill? Okay, going once, going twice. Anyone else?
Hi, JP Rattazzi, also One Nursery Road. So my concern, I'm hearing that it's going to be limited at guest passes and also $25 each. I just know that a lot of the people that go to the Weewa are people who can't afford alternate options like putting a pool in their backyard. And by capping it at $25 each, if you want to bring, let's say you have a family, want to go with your cousins, that's $75 if you have 3 cousins. By having that in place, you're kind of, it feels like you're promoting oh, maybe swim elsewhere because, so you could, there's just more dangerous opportunities for people if they're not going to go to the Weewa. We'll find a lake in the woods that's unguarded, or bubbles, cliff jumping. A girl almost died there like 2 years ago. It just doesn't seem like it's in the best interest of the families. I also was under the, sorry, I wasn't expecting to speak.
No problem. Doing great.
Thanks. I was also wondering why there would be an ancestor clause into joining the Weewa. So it feels like eventually that would be phased out to where the hamlet, if they don't have relatives that had lived in the hamlet, if they don't move in, like people who move into the hamlet newly would not be able to join the Weewa. And eventually it just feels like it's phasing the hamlet out, if that makes sense. And by raising the prices and like my sister said, only one employee, and how quickly this proposal was given, it just feels like it's kind of like a squeeze, if that makes sense. And I just want to put that out there that not only should there have been more time, but we should also understand why we're going to the Weewas. Like, we don't have other alternatives. So if we were to be squeezed out, I don't know what we would do, you know?
Thank you.
I've asked Jill Swerble to unmute herself. I think she just did.
Hi, all. Thank you. We just wanted to say, Jason and I, that we agree and fully support Carol Ann, Elizabeth, everybody's comments and questions, and as well as Jake Matthews, and are fully against if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Thank you.
You're welcome. Anything else? Okay, so
that's all I have.
Okay, great. The public comment period is over. Let's move on to the consent agenda. I will read the items and ask the trustees if they would like me to remove anything from the consent agenda to the regular agenda. We're talking about approving the written reports to the permanent record, approval of the October minutes, approval of a new committee named Solar Committee to research and present the possible uses of solar technology in the village, chaired by trustee Joshua Scherer. This committee was discussed in October. Resolve to change the name of the Weewa Park and Lake Committee to the Weewa Park Committee and the Village Lakes and Reservoir Committee to the Village Lakes Committee. This change was requested by Jim Hayes as not to confuse the two committees. Approve 8 hours of professional services for Cooper Arias LLC, our accountant, to do a pre-budget audit in preparation for the 2022-2023 budget. In preparation for the upcoming budget year, and because we want to flag any issues beforehand, Tinka, John, and I recommend we do this. F, approve 15 additional hours for Desiree Hickey to assist Elizabeth Dougherty with the backlog of billing applicants' fees for the village engineer and architect. We recently discovered that we are behind in billing. Desiree's a perfect person to help because she attends the meetings as the recording secretary. G, approve waiving applicants' fees for the village engineer and architect for several residents. One reason for the proposed moratorium is that the system applicants are being billed for things that John and I find unreasonable. We will be going into details. Resolve to place a temporary short-term moratorium on applicant billing for village engineer and architect through the bar. John and I will sit down with the bar and planning board and work on a survey with them, and then hopefully send that out. So that would round out the input we're looking for as we're making changes with the site plan, local law. We're getting input from the attorneys. We're getting input from the board of trustees. We're getting input from the planning board chair and her members. We would like to do that quickly. we think that we can accomplish some ground rules fairly quickly, and we'll discuss that with you, Joanne, and the bar. Approve migrating from QuickBooks to desktop to QuickBooks Online and authorizing the trustees access to view reports. Approve written survey of past applicants before the bar, BZA and PB, to seek constructive comments for improving the application process. K, resolution introducing a draft local law number 5 of 2021, a local law to remove all references to vehicle tags in the village code and to schedule a public hearing for 6:50 p.m. on Wednesday, December 15th, 2021. The village code has a lot of information about village tags and entering the village. We need to purge that language for the new system. Resolution requiring a memo summarizing the results of the bank requisitions be made available to the Board of Trustees within 10 days of the receipt of bank statements. Again, I seek a comfort level on certain accounting checks and balances that were pointed out to us by the comptroller. And authorize the FIC, thank you, National Association to have their annual Christmas bird count on Saturday, December 18th, 2021, for approximately 2 hours from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. And authorize the Tuxedo Joint Fire Department District, to reappoint Commissioner Gardner Hempel to a 5-year term beginning January 1, 2022. Authorize the mayor to send town water bills that are 60 to 90 plus days overdue to a collection agency. P, this was added, it may not be on the agenda. Authorize John Ledwith to put the office boiler up for auction. Well, remember with the extra boiler we're gonna have? Or the one that's down at the DPW, I guess?
It's a water, oil tank.
Oil tank. Okay, so we have an oil tank we'd like to put up that I'd like to give John the approval to put up for auction.
We also have one snow plow that we cannot use with the existing trucks. I'd like to put that up for auction too.
You hear that?
We have one snow plow that.
Okay. Okay. All right, so.
I discussed it with Jeff, so we.
Okay. Do any of the trustees want me to take out any of these items and put them into the regular agenda?
I have a couple, but I think we're operating off a different agenda, so I don't know if it'll be as simple as giving
What
the
do you have?
letters. Okay, E, approve 8 hours of professional services.
Yes.
F, approve 15 hours for Desiree. G, approve waiving applicants' fees. Then I have I, approve written survey for past applicants. Is that I on yours?
That's J, 1 hours.
Okay.
Just out of curiosity, for the sake of efficiency, why didn't you bring this up to me before the meeting?
Can we just focus on this and talk about that later?
It's important.
Is it my right to take these out of the consent agenda? Because they're broad and not specific. That's the reason.
Right.
And I haven't had time.
Okay.
This is our time. So where are we? Okay,
Look at this.
I'll give you the floor.
I'm just going through the list so you can know which ones to strike and then we can pass and then move on and discuss. All right, K, resolution introducing draft law. No, that's good. Approve written survey. J, approve the written survey, strike that.
Approve written survey. You're saying strike that?
Oh, yeah, I wanted to talk about it.
Okay.
O, authorize the mayor to send all water bills. And then I think everything else is good.
And there was one more to.
So just 2?
E,
Hold on.
F, G.
Hold on. E, 8 hours of service for Cooper. What else?
F, approve 15
F.
hours for Desiree.
Mhm.
G, approve waiving applicants' fees.
Okay.
H, resolve to replace a temporary short-term moratorium.
Okay.
J, approve written survey.
Uh-huh.
O, water bills.
Agenda, the very last minute, the R.
Police department I saw.
Yes, thank you.
Right, right. Increase
Good.
police officers to 30.
Part-time police officers. to the-
Mhm. So, please proceed.
Well, no, now we pass the consent agenda and then we talk about those items. Resolution.
No, it's fine.
I wrote everything in yours.
Those are the ones that we would be voting on.
A, D, I, K,
A through D,
A through D, I, K through N, P and Q.
I think.
Okay. Be it resolved that the Board of Trustees approve items in this evening's consent agenda, letters A, B, C, D, I, K, L, M, N, P, and Q. May I have a second?
Where's the?
Next page. Q is a police officer?
Yes, may I have a second? All right, speak up.
Take a seconded.
Good.
Thank you.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, so now we're going to adjust the regular agenda now. Instead of 8A and B, we're going to roll these things into it, I guess. And why don't you proceed, Chris?
Okay, so on 8 hours professional development, what exactly is the scope and what budget line number does it come from?
Well, this is the consent agenda. These will be resolved after the meeting. And that level of detail isn't required for this consent agenda. Would you like to make some comment about what line item you would like to see it in?
Sure.
I mean, we have accounting fees.
Okay, so what?
So
line
we
item
will
is
be
it?
coming out of the accounting fees
Okay, then why can't we put it in the resolution?
because we're not doing that level of detail in the consent
Well, I
agenda.
think we should.
Well, do you want to
I
start?
want to
writing
know what
them?
I'm voting for.
Okay.
So
You're voting for 8 hours professional services for
1320.4?
Cooper areas.
1320.4. And what are they going to be doing? What are they going to look at?
We want them to look at the budget now to see if there's anything they can determine that we might need to correct before the next budget year, so it'll run smoother.
Okay.
So they're gonna be, because it's a big
So-
transition year, because this is the first year that Elizabeth has been doing it. Last budget, Debbie had done.
Right.
it. So we're just gonna.
So they're
make
looking
sure
at
that-
audit reports. They're looking at.
We
how
have to work
Shannon
out the
thinks.
details with them, what they're going to look at.
Right.
Don't micromanage them.
Just-
I want to
They're gonna
know what
come
I'm
in,
voting
They're going to
for.
come, look, you don't need to micromanage what they're going to do when they get here.
Okay, 1320.4. No, I
Right.
just want to know what the plan is.
Yeah, the plan is, just to go through the line items, because the way we do our budgets right now, you have the spreadsheet.
Right.
And sometimes those numbers don't match what's been put into the QuickBooks.
Okay.
So that's
So we'll
really
know
what.
there's
what-
some discrepancies.
Yeah, and that's really what I want to do, because it was quite a crunch last year to figure that out. So I just want to make sure we have that all set up before we start doing
Okay.
that.
For F, approve 15 hours for Desiree to assist Elizabeth with backlog of billing applicants fees for village engineer architect, same thing. Is that treasurer fees? $1325.1.
I wouldn't do that because that's personnel. Oh, no, you're right.
This is Desiree.
So sorry.
Right?
You're right.
And then, okay, so there's 15 hours of backlog, but we're also in this consent agenda, there was a request to do a moratorium on billing. So I don't understand what,
We have months of backlog that we're still working on. And
okay,
moving forward, we're going to stop it. So she wouldn't be, of course, doing any billing during the moratorium.
so
But there's
she's
plenty of,
she's
there's
doing
plenty of
backlog
old-
through
yes.
what date?
I don't have the exact date.
Well, it's our job to know what we're voting on.
I'm here every day, talking with people, looking at these accounts. You're coming in from the side and saying, we need
I'm a
to.
trustee elected by the
All right,
people.
look.
I have some
Look,
responsibility.
look,
All
you're
I'm asking is-
micromanaging it. You're micromanage the process. Denise needs to catch up on billing. Elizabeth
For
is
what
too
date?
busy. I don't know the date.
When's the moratorium start? That is
It
not, it's
starts- it
confusing.
Started.
So the moratorium,
We just passed it, unless you took that out too.
I did,
Okay.
because how long does it last?
It's short. It says short term and
Is
we're
that
going
30
to do our
days?
best.
Is that 45
I don't know
days?
exactly how many days it's going to be.
Well, why don't we, the board is
Just don't
responsible.
go for it if you have a problem with it. If you have a problem with that we can't knock it down to 5 days or 2, then don't vote for it. Come on, we have to move along here.
We have to do the village's work.
We are doing the
I'm not
village's
governing over
work.
Email, I'm governing at meetings that we meet once a month. This is not that hard of a discussion. Is it, can we just pick a 30-day moratorium and say it's from today until 30 days and we can relook at it next month?
No, I'm not going to put it, no, I want to get it done sooner than that. And I'm not going to lock myself into a date because I have to meet with different people. Joanne and John will work it out. I'll let you know if it's an issue.
Okay, if trustees don't want to deal with it, that's fine, but
I-
I want to,
I am
want to
dealing with
discuss it. The rest of the trustees don't care, then that's fine. We'll move on.
Well, you can ask them.
No, that's fine.
They
I mean,
can-
Might as well do what we're doing here. Do you want to say approve up to 15 additional hours if we don't need her for all those hours?
It's
or-
one of the same.
or Is it?
Yeah.
Or if it's less, okay.
Okay, approving waiving applicants' fees for village engineer and architect for several residents. How much are we talking about? Which residents? Why? I mean, we don't waive fees on a, without being specific. We never do it for water bills. Why would we do it for anything else?
Okay, why don't we table that then?
No. No, we're going to waive these fees. John, would you like to address the fees?
There were 3 people that received bills for professional services that exceeded what they put in escrow. Some of those bills called for 5 or 7 hours of engineering review time that we felt may be excessive, given the fact that the applicant submitted plans that were already signed and stamped by either an architect or an engineer. And it seemed to be a little excessive. Some of the board members agreed with me. And
Another scenario was somebody that applied for a pool. The neighbor wrote a letter objecting that it might be noisy. So the applicant wrote a letter back saying, I don't think it's going to be noisy. And the engineer charged for reviewing both of those letters. It's inappropriate. It's got to be changed. It's the reason that people are very upset with the bar process. We're going to correct it. We're going to meet with the engineers and the architects and we're going to go over it. And that's all the detail I have for you right now.
Well, I appreciate that. I think it's appropriate for me to know that level of detail.
And I would have told you if you called me last week.
Well, I didn't get this last week.
Today. Yesterday.
Approve written survey for past applicants, bar, BZA, PB. Who's going to work on that? And are we going to be able to see it before it goes out?
Which one was it?
Jay.
The survey for applicants. And how are we going to send out?
I think I just explained to you that Joanne, myself, the bar, and John are going to write it. And then we are going to send it out. And I see no reason to bring it to the bar, to the Board of Trustees for a vote.
Okay. Just want to know if I was going to see it. Is it going to cost any money?
MailChimp, isn't it?
No.
So it doesn't cost anything.
All right, I already brought up the short-term moratorium. I'd like to have a deadline on that. I don't know what the definition of short-term is.
Okay, I'm not putting a deadline on it.
Okay, resolved, authorize mayor to send, okay, we have to table the water bills. That was this conversation I had with the attorney before the meeting. We need to have an attorney client privilege on that. Does anybody disagree?
No, we can.
So you're not ready to send people to collection?
No. We need to have a discussion with the attorney before we do that.
Okay, and you
And that's
concur,
it.
and he agrees.
Okay, so I'm going to propose the ones that were taken out in a separate resolution. Be it resolved that the Board of Trustees approve 8 hours of professional service for Cooper Arias LLC to do a pre-budget audit in preparation for the 2022-23 budget. May I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Be it resolved that the Board of Trustees approve 15 additional hours for Desiree Hickey to assist Elizabeth Dougherty with the backlog of billing applicants' fees for the village engineer and architect.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Be it resolved that the Board of Trustees approve waiving applicants' fees for the village engineer and architect for several residents. May I have a second?
Three residents, right? That's what we're talking about now. I'm sorry.
Second.
All in favor?
No.
It's, I just
Aye.
want to double
If we're gonna
check
say
that it's a
three, then I'll vote
Three-
for it.
It's just 3 applicants, right? That we're just.
I recall 3. There may have been other comments.
I wrote several. Would you like me to change that to 3?
Yeah.
Okay. 3. Be it resolved that the Board of Trustees approve waiving 3 applicants' fees for village engineer and architect for 3 residents. Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Be it resolved that the Board of Trustees approve a temporary short-term moratorium on applicant billing for village engineer and architect through the bar. May I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
No.
Okay, 3-1. Okay, be it resolved that the mayor, planning board, chairperson, bar chairperson, and John Ledwith draft a written survey of past applicant and to send to past applicants before the bar, BZA, and PB to seek constructive comments for improving the application process. May I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And the other one we're going to executive session over. Right?
Yep.
Okay.
It's tabled for now, right? Is the best way to say it?
You would table it.
Yeah.
All right. So now we're on the regular agenda, the pool management. So I've heard everybody's comments. I'm taking them seriously. We're only dealing tonight with hiring the firm, awarding the contract. We're not talking about rates, guest fees, complete personnel, hours, cost of guest fees, all those kinds of things. In the letter that I sent to the Weewa Beach Club, we asked for a transition. We assume that you're going to help us make that transition. You brought up a bunch of very good points tonight that have opened my eyes in terms of what we would want to go back to the company for. Several contradictions that you brought up, I think, are valid, that we should definitely speak with New York City Pools about. And there's plenty of openings in the future to set rates. You know, I mean, one comment, though, that I do want to address directly is that, you know, the cost of membership is increased. Bonnie actually mentioned that the cost of minimum wage has gone up. And we also know that eggs and milk and gas and everything else has gone up. There hasn't been an increase in your membership fees for years. So it does make sense to ask for an inflation increase.
Well, I'd like the opportunity to respond in real time since you are talking about voting on this tonight. And from my perspective, I can tell you that we have had an increase. It's been, for us, a substantial increase. because of COVID, we had to hire a COVID monitor, right? Went from 2 people full-time to 3 people full-time. So
Jim, we're actually not going to vote on any of this tonight. We're only voting on the award of the contract. So, you know,
you're talking about awarding a contract, with all
Yeah.
due respect, it seems like you didn't have it to give us. So I'm asking, did all of the trustees even read that contract?
yeah, of course, but
Then why was it not given to us until 5:45 yesterday? You have to go back to Denise Bonnie. Didn't have the contract to give us prior. I'm asking the questions. Everybody read that contract.
the contract, one of the reasons that the committee recommended this vendor is because of their willingness to be flexible, their responsiveness. They are located in Suffern or Mawa, I'm not sure. Excellent references. I don't think this is the time to micromanage their agreement. I think it's a great time to work with the Weewa Beach Club and say, what have you learned that you can share with us that we can help improve this agreement?
But the time to do it, look, we would have welcomed that opportunity.
And that opportunity exists.
We went 2 people on that committee, neither of which are beach club members. Those people never reached out to us despite Mark standing up at prior meetings asking for that. And the time for us to say, hey, it's not one lifeguard during the week, it's really got to be a lifeguard and somebody else.
We hope and expect to have those conversations with you and the company.
But you're awarding a contract to somebody.
Yes, who's told us they're very flexible. There's, they'll talk about other personnel. Yeah, yes.
I don't think you should be awarding a contract right now.
Well, I appreciate your concern. I appreciate your concern. I feel strongly that it's a very good company and they'll work with us and all these items will be straightened out. One thing that you'd seem to be doing is talking down the membership. It's like you're almost saying, don't join this club. It's going to be expensive and it's going to have less services.
I'm not saying that at all.
Well, let's all work together to get it to a point where everyone's happy with the service. Hey, look, who can argue with hiring a third-party company to take all the hassle and burden and renegotiating stuff, and so we can all just go and enjoy it. It's going to be a real success, and there's going to be a lot of new members joining, and we will work it out with your help. If you'd like to give it to us, we'd appreciate it. And we'll take all of your critique and comments and suggestions, the problems you have with the agreement. We'll rework the agreement. This individual is 31,000 compared to 35, lowest and also the most reliable. I'm confident after talking to this and to listening to the comments that the committee made, and what's wrong with a 2-person committee? All of our committees are 2-person. I mean, there's 2 workers. There's a lot of other members. I don't see that.
Anybody who had experience at the Weewa Beach Club on the committee. It's ridiculous. And you
Okay.
had volunteers that wanted to help and you didn't bring any of them on.
That's only part of the story because the committee is not done. As I said in the letter, they completed the first phase, which is recommending. The next phase is working together for a transition. That's the next phase. That's when I would bring on other people.
Look back, I wouldn't, to me.
Look,
you don't have a term sheet. You don't have.
We will get whatever we need. Listen, you're micromanaging the committee's process.
Or taxpayer money at the end of the day.
No, it's not, because this is going to all be raised
How are you gonna raise it?
by membership. How do you raise it?
You don't provide services until after we get the money.
Yeah, well, we're going to start selling tickets immediately. Did you read my letter?
I did, but you didn't want to talk about rates tonight.
No, we're not voting on rates tonight.
Right, but you're gonna start to sell tickets immediately.
Listen, you've made your point. I counted 24 or 25 people that are against it. And there's 600 people in the village. You got 1 trustee who's against it, 1 trustee who's against it, and 20 people that are against it. I have to take that into consideration. There's a lot of people that are really looking forward to it.
Where were they tonight?
Well, they're not going to come and complain. Where were they? There were articles in TPFYI telling people to come. Everybody that wanted to come and complain did.
I don't agree with that.
All right, well, listen, I don't know what to tell you, but we're ready to vote. We've looked at all the memos. We are comfortable with the recommendation of this company. If you want to pull back and not work with us down the road, that's your decision. I think that that's not appropriate, but it's up to you. We'd like your expertise. We'd like to transition over, and that's it. I'm not going to take any more questions on this. So, do the trustees have any questions? Chris, you just expressed yourself. Tinka, do you have anything?
I have plenty. Do we want to make a motion first and have a discussion?
No, go ahead.
Okay. I have no idea what problem this solves. We've had the We All Beach Club doing this for decades. I have no idea why we're paying somebody to do something. We have volunteers that do it for free without any complaints. I don't know what the extra administrative burdens are going to be. Are we expecting Elizabeth to now collect money for the membership fees? That's something else that
Right on the
somebody else is doing.
website, website.
Website. And then she still has to process it and deposit. I don't know. Right. Okay. I do want to commend the Weewha Beach Club Executive Committee for reacting on a Friday 5 o'clock email, which is what the politicians do in Washington, D.C. when they have bad news. They dump things at 5 o'clock on Friday. And I could not believe that this happened. And then I want to commend you for jumping through your butts and getting together and writing a very thorough response and in 5 days. And I can't believe trustees can vote on something with 5 days notice too. That's going to change decades of tradition. I think it's a farce that this committee had no members from the Weewha Beach Club. I think that the board has not decided on a full comprehensive plan of what the Weewha Park is going to look like, and it shouldn't vote on a contract with an outside entity until the board agrees or votes to have a way forward. Last season, the Weewha Beach Club paid the village $4,000. And we're now expected to pay $30,000 plus additional hidden costs that have been pointed out tonight. And I don't understand why we can't just keep a simple transaction of the Weewha Beach Club volunteers, does their thing, we get a check. Happy as can be. I recommend the park committee be given a charter approved by the board and include at least 7 members, at least 3 of which are members of the Weewha Beach Club and all residents of Tuxedo Park. And I have huge concerns about the indemnification or lack thereof. I can't believe anybody would, in any business, would sign a contract with the indemnification clause that is in the New York State pools. And I want to thank Ava Bertazzi for speaking up tonight as well. That's all.
Okay. Do you have any questions? Check it. Okay. Resolution. Be it resolved that the Board of Trustees accept the recommendations of the Weewha Park Committee to hire New York State Pool Management to manage the 2022 summer swimming season for the village and hamlet members to be funded by membership fees. May I have a second? Any additional discussion?
I would just make that subject to, reviewing the insurance that we have. That's all, that we're covered, which I'm sure we will be because we.
Well,
Yeah.
look, there's 15 or other things I want to check.
Right.
Before I move forward.
Right.
So I'm not going to start pulling out individual things
Okay.
like
okay.
insurance, because if there's not going to be the appropriate insurance,
Then it's not.
and if we approach them and they're not interested, then that presents a problem.
Okay, yeah, fair enough.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Ayes have it. Thank you. Okay, so
Unbelievable. One against.
Yeah, the one, and Paul isn't here.
he supports it.
He does
Yeah.
support it?
Yeah. Okay, so now let's move on to the gate system. Chief, would you like to give a brief presentation on your on the gate? Because I think a lot of people in the village don't have a full understanding of the advantages and or disadvantages of the system.
True.
Okay.
The goal of the system is to enhance security. Despite some of the rumors that have been going around, there's no passes given out. It's not an easy pass system. It is a camera that reads a license plate. License plates are submitted into a database instead of a sticker that people drive with the sticker on the car. This is going to replace that. So we will put a license plate into the database that's only strictly within Tuxedo Park Police Department. That database is not out there for anybody else to see. And when the car pulls up to the gate, if the camera reads the plate, and if there's a match, the gate opens. We can set parameters as to dates, times, which gate, the main gate, the south gate. So for example, if you have a Tuxedo Park school parent, we would submit them, we'd put their license plate into the system that they can enter the park Monday and Friday, from 7 a.m. to 4 p.m. between September and June. So that's the only time that gate will open for that vehicle. And we will do that with the contractors and everybody else that enters. It's a very robust system. It allows us a lot of control, and it's definitely going to enhance security because people are going to be pre-vetted. When somebody comes through that gate and that gate opens automatically, we know that we vetted that person. Right now, somebody comes to the gate, they say they're going, let's say, Tuxedo Club. They're not vetted. The gate's open and they're allowed to go to the club, we assume. We don't follow them to see where they're going. And we don't know who they are. This is going to have everybody's information. All non-residents have to produce a driver's license to get put into the system. We'll know who each person is. So it's definitely going to enhance security. And it's also going to be more efficient at the gate. The gate's going to open as the car approaches. When the gate doesn't open, that lets the officer know this person needs to be strictly vetted more than what's done now. So that's the whole premise behind the system.
I've heard people express disappointment that they love being able to talk to the police, stop at the booth and talk to the police. And I'm wondering if that could be done with this system.
That can be done with this system. Just because the gate opens doesn't mean you have to drive through. You can still stop and talk to the officer. It's not done now. Very rarely is it done now that somebody stops and talks to the officer. The residents usually are looking straight ahead and waiting for that gate to open in. It's the Indianapolis 500 to get through there. But we welcome people to stop and talk at the booth. That's what, that's the whole point of community policing.
What happens if a contractor signed up to work at a particular home and then in 1 month it ends?
Yeah, so good point. So if you're going to be hiring a contractor, let's say, and it's only going to be for a 3-week period, you request that they be added into the system. We add them in with that parameter of Monday through Friday between 8 and 4, which the village code allows for noise bearing work to be done. And between today's date and 3 weeks from now date. After that, that person no longer can access that date. If we need to extend it, we can extend it. Employees of the club, employees of the school, members of both. If they're no longer a member or no longer an employee, we deactivate them. Right now with the sticker system, we don't collect those stickers back. A lot of people refuse to give them back. They feel that they purchased them so that they're theirs. That's a legal battle that I guess would have to be pursued if we wanted to. But now we don't have to do that. It's just click of a button and we deactivate that person's privileges.
Hold on.
What if you don't have a front
Right,
license?
it does the rear. It takes care of Florida and New Jersey cars, Stuart. Did you hear me? Yeah, it's a rear license plate reader.
So it works for motorcycles too.
So let's say the school is in session and I'm a parent at the school and my car is registered. But that day I get caught at work and I'd like my nanny or a neighbor to pick the kid up, obviously I have to call the school and let them know that. But what about, could they get through the gate and can they only be limited to a one-time pickup?
Yes. So when they would come to the gate, they would be vetted. We would verify that with the school, or the parent, and we would allow that person into the gate for that one-time pickup.
Mark has a question, Chief.
I'm sorry.
Chief.
Yeah.
In terms of people who are not in the system, that take place, you have an officer to leave the booth and interview the driver, ask the driver to pull over to the side, and then what happens? How is that gonna work?
Are you talking now or with the?
No,
new
I'm
system?
talking with the new system. I mean, how is
It's
the
up to you.
vetting going to take place?
The same way it's done now. The
Yes.
officer is going to ask the person what their business is. Being that the gate's not opening automatically, we know that they're not vetted already. So now, where are you headed? You know, what is your, like, now we don't ask for names and stuff like that. We just ask where you're headed. Now we will do a little bit more strict vetting.
Will that create traffic behind the
No.
vetted vehicle?
If it's something that is going to create traffic, like if we see cars coming and it's gonna be, we're gonna ask them to pull over to the side.
And then the officer's gonna leave the booth and walk over to the parked
Well,
vehicle? to
we have
see the vetting?
we have two officers on duty at all times. So the officer that's on patrol can come in and assist and speak to that driver as well. So between the two officers, it will be vetted.
I have a question. Sure. Right now, if I have somebody coming to the house, I call the gate and I tell them who I am, and the name of the person coming through. Usually just the first name works, because that's all I really need, used to be, and hopefully I still will be. What will happen now? Will it still be the same, that I can just call?
It'll still be the same.
Okay,
Or if you wanted to, you could put in their license plate, could drive right through.
I will know that, but at the same time, if somebody's coming to fix our furnace or
Mhm,
something, I
mhm.
can just call and say sometime within the hour
Mhm.
or whatever. Okay, I can still keep doing that.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Any other questions?
Pretty much what we have now.
Yeah.
Except just more enhancement for security purposes.
I just have one more question. I worried about this issue. Is the system now, or will the system, once it's in operation, be connected to these law enforcement databases that would flag vehicles for suspended registration, for stolen, reported as stolen, et cetera, and for criminal activity, so to speak?
So right now, currently, since 2016, both gates have a license plate reader that is connected to the law enforcement database. On a daily basis, we get alerts of somebody's car registration being suspended, and we take enforcement action. This new system is just a camera and a database. It has nothing to do with any of the DMV or any of the other criminal justice services. All right?
And say we're gonna post, the chief put together a information list for how it's gonna work, so we're gonna post that on the website, so you guys can get a better understanding. And isn't also one of the other issue, that if we have contractors like Joe Solis or whatever, who come
Good point.
on a regular basis,
So-
who back up in the mornings,
Yes.
and if they, whatever, pay this annual fee, they'll just go.
So we
right
have a
through.
list of about 30 contractors that are here every single day. Some of the businesses have multiple vehicles. So maybe 40 vehicles of contractors. Those people would be put into the system because Bill Fairclough comes in and out of that gate 30 times a day and stops every single time. There's no reason for it. We know who he is. We know his vehicle. That gate should open automatically for Bill Fairclough.
I've spoken to a lot of
And others.
contractors that are very happy they can go through the south gate now.
Right. Yeah.
And yeah, it's a win-win.
So can you also, let's say, you have a domestic that comes in Thursdays each week. Can you register that person with a Thursday only
Yes.
and a certain time? And that will open the gate for them automatically. But if they
Yes.
come another time, they'd have to go through regular security.
Correct.
And then if that domestic is fired, or moves on,
Well,
I would be able to contact you.
Right, we would expect the resident to let us know that so that we can deactivate them.
Right now, a lot of people keep tags.
Correct. And tags are switched from vehicle to vehicle, which has been a big problem. You know, if you try to switch a license plate from vehicle to vehicle, you're facing some pretty serious consequences.
So
Sticker, there are no consequences.
a lot of people have come up to me, and it's a nostalgia kind of thing. They don't want to give up their tag. No, but it's cool. Like when you're wherever you are, you know, you're driving, you see another tuxedo car. I mean, I agree with it, but not everyone does. But so what I was thinking is, you know, there's like one of the original tags that says TP on it. I don't know if you've seen one, or some other design, some other commemorative tag. I think we should seriously consider providing that for everybody that wants one, whether we sell it or give it to them. So you can always have your tag, but it wouldn't be what gets you in the gate. Your license plate is what would get you in the gate.
Correct.
And when I've discussed that with people, their eyes lit up. Thank you. We really love our tags. Yeah. Okay. All right.
And I just want to say, you know, after the mayor posts this on the website, if anybody has any questions regarding this, please shoot me an email or call me. I'll be happy to answer any questions.
But you're fully supportive
100%. It's going to enhance security.
and convenience. It would be even more convenient if we had a separate line, but we don't. All right. So is everyone ready to start talking about the fees that have been proposed? Trustees?
Sure.
Okay, so we're faced with a unique first year situation. The equipment and installation is not in the current budget. So it needs to be paid for. And so what I was proposing is a one-time fee to pay for the installation and equipment. And that would come to about $30 per person. And that would allow you to register an unlimited number of cars, domestics, and so forth for that same $30. And then the following years, there would be no additional charge because it would be put into the next budget. And then for the school, church, and club, they currently pay $90 per car, 90 per car.
75, isn't it?
No, the plate's 15. So
I already have a plate.
So there's a low turnout for club members because they feel it's onerous. And so what I'm proposing is that we reduce it substantially and get a higher buy-in. So $29.95 for unlimited vehicles. So the prior system is $90 per vehicle in the same family. This is $29.95 for multiple vehicles in the same family. And then also there's been a lot of, I've been contacted a lot about certain church members wanting to come through the South Gate because they live down there. And so of course they'd be able to come through the South Gate. And what you could do, I believe, we can say Sundays at a certain time. Okay. Or maybe there's a Wednesday service, but we could handle that, you're saying. And then employees of all three entities would pay $14.95 per vehicle. Now, another option that I've been discussing with the club, I haven't approached the school yet, is paying a lump sum. So, and that would be for convenience purposes. So for example, rather than each individual club member, school member, parent, church member coming up to you, they would give us a fee. And so the transaction would simply be gathering the information, which they would probably gather for us in that case and hand you a spreadsheet for uploading. All right. And then I have for seasonal people, $19.95. I've gotten some feedback on that. I think that what I want to do is now, if you have this, pull it out because we're going to use this as the document. I was going to suggest we change that to $9.95 for multiple vehicles.
Seasonal one?
Pardon?
Yeah, it should be, yeah, per membership, like, you know. the-
Right, so if a family has 5 cars, they can put, yeah, just like everyone
Per
else.
member, like everyone
Yeah,
else.
yeah, I think that's, all right, so, and of course, these are small fees for wear and tear. And, you know, now, some people have said to me that, you know, we don't want to pay the $30, you know, we come in free now. But if you really look at that, we're not coming in free. We have police salaries, road maintenance and repair on the existing gates, you know, a large part of what we pay in property tax. Every time you drive through that gate, that's, you're paying. So this is a $30 one-time fee per family, or property owner, family, renter, that kind of thing. So it's spread evenly. So do any of the trustees have questions?
No, but I think you should explain why we're doing it. Isn't the reason that we did not budget for it is because we were going to continue with the tags and then we were going to have to order more tags or something like that, and that's when we started thinking about doing a separate system?
No.
Or-
We just didn't have any information by May and June of last year. So we didn't budget for it.
So this was always kind of.
Right. So implementing it now requires that we pay for it. Now, there's other options. I mean, we just took in 4 or 5 grand on the snow blower.
Can we take 30 in for American Rescue Plan Act?
ARPA, yeah, but we're using a portion of that for the water thing that we're doing, the infrastructure.
So
unbudgeted item, right?
You know, there's other ways to skin the cat.
ARPA?
The water stuff. It wasn't budgeted.
I have gotten, I mean, I have to be honest with you. 3 people have questioned the $30 and our trustee. That's it. So, I mean, I don't see any reason to start pulling things out of the budget. This
So-
is a big ticket item.
Can I address that for a second?
Sure.
So in this budget, all the highlighted items, these are all budget lines, and there's 11 budget lines right now that exceed the appropriations, and that's exceeding $400,000. So there's $400,000 that wasn't budgeted for that was spent. And we're only 6 months into the fiscal year. So my question is, what makes this $20,000 for the license plate reader so freaking special that we have to charge residents a fee, when what's more important, getting people registered or getting a fee from them? Because I think the chief would agree, the more people registered, the more safe we are, the more effective this system is. And then right now, there's a $30 obstacle that just is going to piss people off, because I've talked to more than 3. If I'm one, I've talked to more than 2. And people have commented tonight as well. That's my thoughts on that. Oh, let me just go on since I'm talking. In the end, this is a benefit to the police officers more than it is to the residents. It clears up their in-booth requirements. I've been in there with them. They're answering the phones. They're looking at cars coming in. They're answering radio calls. They're answering phone calls. They're journaling things. And now there's one less thing for them to do because of the system. I don't think we should have to pay for that. Additionally, we don't need to fund it now to get it going. We can get it going without actually charging anybody anything, and we'd be more safer for it.
But we have to pay for it.
Well, let's look at the budget and see if there's money in there. So the way my experience in the government has been is you budget for something, and after you have a policy, you budget for it and then you execute. And at the end of the year, you look at like, hey, look at all this extra money. What else do we have ready to go, shovel ready that we can spend money on? Let's do it. This would be a perfect candidate for that. But in the middle of the year, we haven't even looked at the budget to see if there's some money that we haven't spent or don't plan on spending to see if we can do it.
Of course we
Maybe we don't do fire hydrants. Maybe we only do half the fire hydrants.
30,000 in the fire hydrants.
Maybe we do half the fire hydrants right
Why
now
don't we do that?
and save 15 grand and not charge the residents and automatically enroll them.
Like I just said, very calmly, was that if we want to pull it out of the budget somewhere, we can do that as an option.
Oh, you just said only 3 people and 1 trustee.
That's right.
Said no.
That's true. So now it's at 10
kind of
people.
like,
10.
let's not address it.
So let's just take care of that. I mean, but as far as, so that's the resident portion that you object to, but you don't object to the club, the other people.
I'm okay with
paying a
it.
fee
I
for
wish
that.
we would have talked to the club and the school ahead of time to get their ideas and proposals.
I have talked to them.
And
Except
see
the
if
school, I
they-
haven't
If they wanted to, they had something that we hadn't thought of. And said, hey, we're willing to do this if you do this for us, or we think this is a great idea, but we haven't even talked to them.
We can always
Figure that
come
out.
back and do that, Chris.
Well, I say let's take it out of the fire hydrants. We budgeted 30,000. We haven't done anything
Mhm.
about the fire hydrants.
Mhm.
Let's just take it out of there.
Chris, you're in charge of the fire hydrants. Do you not plan to do anything this year with them?
I actually had a conversation with the chief earlier this week. We're still looking at the maps where we have 8-inch mains because we know that we want the best water pressure for where we put the new hydrants, and that's only going to be on the 8-inch mains. And so it's still going, but I would say we budgeted for 5 fire hydrants to be replaced.
$30,000.
Yeah, $30,000.
Yeah.
Cut
We
it in
need,
half,
we need 20 grand.
spend 15.
We need 20 grand.
Okay, well.
So let's find the 20
Okay.
grand in the budget.
I'm all for that exercise, but when I just brought up budget items and line items during the consent agenda, that was too much of a hassle to talk about then. So, I'm okay with saying cut 15 grand out of the fire hydrants. But again, we still have 400 grand that we have already spent that we haven't addressed. And if we're gonna argue over $5,000 right this second, then feel free. I think I can find it, I'll support it.
I think it doesn't look like we're doing the DPW building repair this year. Are we doing that?
Well, you know what? Why don't we, rather than
So-
deciding tonight, why don't we agree that we're going to pull it out of certain line item budgets to be determined? And that's what we'll do. So that we're not going to, we don't need to sit here now and pick, maybe someone will change their mind over what they want to give. We have other monies to do it. Let's just find 20 grand out of the existing budget and we'll suggest different line items. So you give me the approval to approve the line items to raise 20 grand. That's the issue.
I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
Wait, we're going to just say, let the mayor decide which line items?
Yeah.
I mean,
No,
you
we're gonna
can't.
look
You
at-
have
I'm in charge of the.
the trustees have to approve all the budgets. You can't do that.
Well, why can't we just do it now? We already agreed.
What we can do right
15,000
now
on
is
the-
just agree on the
fire
charges and not charge residents.
You know how this would work? I would come up with 2 or 3 line items based on the trustees' suggestions, including yours. And then we would discuss them.
Okay,
So
that's fine.
you would give me that authority to do that.
Yes.
So let's do that.
I'm
So we
good
don't
with
have to
that.
decide tonight.
I just thought I heard you decide what budget it would be, and that would be an illegal budget. You can't, anyway, it's fine. Let's just cancel the $30 charge for the residents. And when we get the accountants in, we can fix everything.
Yep. And then otherwise, we are all agreed on the non-residence fees.
I have no objections to them. My understanding is at least 3 of you had input, and I'm okay with that.
Okay, so let me just work on this. Okay, so we're gonna tie it right to this document.
Right.
Okay.
Yep.
That we're making notes on. So this is gonna be $30,000 charge is going away. And we want to raise $20,000 from various line items in the budget. And you'll give me the authority to make those recommendations and move forward with the charge plan. And so let me see how I want to change that. This is a practice. Be it resolved that the Board of Trustees accept the vehicle charge plan dated November 12th, 2021, including all the hand noted changes made to the document during the discussions that took place prior to this vote. And That would include, and I'll write a note on here, the mayor may suggest a line item or line items to achieve a $20,000 number. Okay, and it sounds like we have a lot of different options, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, are you good with that?
So the idea is that you would suggest, and then we would,
You'll let me know if you agree.
okay, great.
So that goes into the record. Okay. Be it resolved that the Village Board of Trustees accept the vehicle charge plan dated November 12th, 2021, including all the hand-noted changes made to the document during the discussions that took place prior to this vote. May I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Terrific. Elizabeth, do we have any budget transfers? All right. Do you want to read? I'll start the resolution and you can fill it in. Be it resolved that the Board of Trustees make the following budget transfers.
$3,000 from 1325.44, which is IT support, to 1325.2, which is treasurer equipment, and $4,000 from 1325.44, which is IT support, to 1325.4, which is treasurer contractual.
Accepted. May I have a second? Any discussion?
And who said that? Sorry?
Josh. Sure. Yeah.
So hold on one second. So you're taking from 132544 to 13522.
1325.
What's that going to take the total to?
Okay, just a second.
Because we're already 1,500 overspent. and-
Wait a minute. 132544, it has $9,000 budgeted
Okay, 44, yep.
and $989
Yep.
spent. So
So you're
my feeling
taking,
is that we're halfway through the year. So if we, like, I can count on it going up to 2,000. That's my thought.
okay,
So we have $7,000 there.
okay.
So I'm moving 3,000 to 1325.4, 0.2. Treasurer equipment. Because.
I got
treasurer
you.
equipment-
Okay, I got you. Yep. Well, now we're less than $400,000 overspent. Because we fixed that budget item.
And
All in
next
favor?
month I'll fix the rest.
Okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, all right. Thank you for your participation. I want to wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving and those who celebrate Hanukkah. We appreciate your input this evening. We're going to enter executive session.
May I just read the auditor claims for the record, if that's okay?
Oh, I'm so sorry. I don't have it.
Be it resolved, shall I just read it for you?
Please, thank you.
That the Board of Trustees authorize the mayor to sign the audit of claims comprised of the general fund, $415,416.21, water fund, $59,777.43, and professional fees, $1,527.
Adopted. May I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, so be it resolved that the Board of Trustees exit the public meeting to enter executive session for the purpose of discussing employment of specific persons, the PBA collective bargaining agreement, collection of water bills, and a legal matter. May I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. Thank you so much, everyone.
Can I ask you one question, Tony?
Sure.
Are we ever gonna be able to pay the water bill online?
Oh, you can.
You can
right
now. Yeah,
now.
we just put it up. It's $1.50 for a bank check. The credit card is a little steep. So unless you're in an emergency situation, I do the bank check.
Okay, and the other thing, I don't know if they've been doing something with the water system in town. I have pictures of the filters. I just put a whole new filter system in my house. 4 months, it's black.
Wow.
Same thing with up the hill on Nursery Road. It's two separate.
Yeah, we have 4 infrastructure projects on the books. One of them is connection between us and the town. So I'd like to bring that to Jeff's attention. Can I have your address?
1 Nursery Road. And the other one, I'm not sure what you know, Christmas. You know,
I think 76.
it might be 76 Nursery. They're up the top of the hill, different main.
You know, it's one of our,
But I know they were turning pumps on and off, and they were increasing the pressures because they blew one of the lines out in the house. And there's a
do you know anything about this?
It's 140 PSI on a hot water line.
Which is way too high.
Yeah,
Should be 81 or something.
should be lower than that.
Yeah.
60.
Yeah. All right, we will definitely look into it immediately. Thank you very much for bringing it to our attention.
Thanks, Rick.
All right, you too. Okay.
Trustee Castro, you don't need me for this.
No. No.
All right,
I
can
don't
I,
have anything else.
Yeah, well, are we going to
You want
discuss the PBA? Do you want to be
Well,
involved in
I
that?
don't know.
Guys, we're still recording.